What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Roy, and
It's me,
Tasha. Miss your boy Roy.
Mrs. Your boy Roy.
We are about to go live. It is TrainRUF Tuesday. We do this every single week. I'll put a link below if you're watching this on replay, so you can sign up for next week's call or keep up to date with what we're doing. But if you are watching this on replay, please, we ask you, we do these for free. Anybody is welcome on these calls. So subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to YouTube, whatever you're watching on, and share this video. Okay. If you like what we have to say, if you learn something, you think we're funny, whatever it is, you got some value from it, it means the world to us to keep growing this thing, keep helping people, keep impacting lives. So if you guys could share the video and the content, it would mean the world to us. So without further ado, we're going to let everybody in and we are going to get this party started. Dun, 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 dun. All righty, what is going on, friends? We got a couple more people going to be coming in here, so we're going to let them in as they get in here, but we're going to see who's first in the chat. Who's going to say hi first? Come on, friends. You guys already know the drill. You got to be speedy here to earn your points. We don't want you to miss your points. Who's going to say hi? It has to be one of you guys. You could say hi.
Somebody.
You should say hi.
Hi, Alyssa got it.
Alyssa's like, God, somebody please say hi.
Somebody do it.
We're letting more people in here. Sweet. So you guys, today is going to be a very fun talk because we're going over healthy recipes for you guys. How Tosh and I think about our meals, what we do specifically to help give you ideas. We're not saying that this is what you need to do, but I think it's going to give you a lot of perspective, maybe an inside look into what we do, but also give you some ideas of things that you could do at home or things that maybe you didn't think about. Before we dive into these examples, these recipes, what we do, I kind of want to talk about what we do here at RUF, what are we defining as healthy, and how we do nutrition programs and what brought us to doing this call. So first and foremost at RUF, we don't do your typical nutrition program or typical nutrition plan. Usually when you sign up for a fitness program or a nutrition program, you will get a coach and they will tell you exactly what to eat, like eat 4 ounces of chicken with a half a cup of rice and broccoli. And they tell you to do that for every single meal, right? Like super bland, super boring. And it's the same thing every single day, every single week. And the issue that we find with that is that you don't learn anything, right? You go in there, you do this very strict, very plain, very boring diet. And then once you're finished your program, whether it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, you get tired of eating the same thing over and over and over again. And when you go back to your regular life, to eating the way you want, because you didn't learn anything, you didn't find balance, you didn't make this fit into your life, you end up gaining all the weight back. Or we also see that people kind of want the easy way out, right? So things like keto. Well, keto is simple, right? You just stop eating carbs and sugars and just eat more fats, right? It's simple to follow, but again, it doesn't teach you the right things. It doesn't teach you why carbs are important, how to have things in moderation, how to find balance for you and your lifestyle. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of us have kids and just not doing carbs ever is like not really intuitive to your lifestyle. And not only that, but for more than we think, more people than we know respond well to carbs. It's just the overconsumption of carbs or empty carbs, like empty calories, like you're eating too much popcorn, right? Or too much chocolate or too much Sour Patch Kids, or Pop-Tarts, right? You're not getting the healthy carbs. So it's not always that carbs are the enemy, but again, teaching you these things. And then we go all the way to the extreme of people who join these programs and they just send you these prepackaged meals, right? And they just say, hey, just drink our shakes for every single meal or eat our prepackaged meals for every single meal, and then you'll be good to go. You'll lose weight. And that's no different than having a coach just tell you to eat the same thing every single day. Because again, you might lose the weight, but it doesn't teach you a lifestyle, right? It only works if you're only eating these very specific things and you don't ever learn anything, find balance, or make it fit your life. And so what we do differently is we give you the flexibility to eat what you want. But of course, all things come at a price, right? The price is that this isn't the sexy, fun, easy thing to do because you actually have to learn how to track what you eat. But in turn with that, You're going to learn about food. You're going to learn how to find balance. You're going to learn how can you make things like macaroni and cheese or rice or potatoes or cookies or ice cream or whatever it is that you want to have fit into your lifestyle and then still see the results that you want to see. So it's almost like anything you want takes sacrifice. The easier it's going to be, usually the less you're learning, but the more you're willing to learn, the more you're willing to do this and go down the road less traveled, well, it's going to pay off for you in the end as far as your long-term results, your health, and keeping the weight off for what a lot of us want to do. So that's why tracking is important. That's why we do that. That's how we're able to build custom programs per person. But I kind of want to talk to you guys about what it means to be healthy. Because there's a lot of different definitions that even here at RUF we use depending on where you're at in the phase. So we take people through different phases depending on if they're just starting or if they've been with us for 6 months, a year, different phases of what they're doing with their nutrition. But most people come to me and when they want to start their nutrition journey, their health journey, their fitness journey, they say, well, I eat pretty healthy. And it's interesting, like, well, what is healthy to you? Because it's been crazy. How many conversations have you had with people over the last couple of months about potatoes?
Quite a few.
And what do they say?
They say potatoes aren't healthy.
Yeah, they say potatoes aren't healthy. I'm like, how do we get to a point where potatoes of anything aren't healthy, right? So it's interesting to hear what people think is healthy because they'll give up this very healthy thing, the potato, and sub it for a low carb tortilla that's very processed, right? And you're like, how do you find those two things differently as far as health goes? And what we end up finding is people look at our diet and think you're going to be surprised that we're going to mention mac and cheese, Kraft mac and cheese tonight. And do you think people would say that that was healthy?
No, God, no.
Absolutely not. But it's like, let me ask you this. When it comes to healthy, is being 50 pounds overweight healthy? No. But if you can eat mac and cheese and it helps you lose the 50 pounds and lower your cholesterol and lower your blood pressure and you're enjoying what you're eating, would you consider yourself to be healthier? Well, absolutely. So the thing is that although the mac and cheese isn't the best carb option, we can make it work into what you're doing for most people, depending on where you're at, and have you living a healthier life. So when we define healthy, especially in the beginning here at RUF, we define healthy as hitting your nutrition goals, which would be your macros, tracking your food and the goals we set for you, and a higher protein diet. Okay, that's the very first phase, the very first step. Like I said, there's other phases after that, but that's what we're going to define as healthy. And the cool thing is that we find that a lot of people overeat carbs, overeat fats, one or both, and they undereat in protein. And the reason why we define protein as quote unquote healthy is because if you're able to control your protein, carbs, fats, eat more protein, your calories are in check, it's the only macronutrient that allows you to build, preserve, and repair your lean muscle tissue, which ultimately is, and it has so many functions as far as hormones go as well, but it's going to help increase your metabolism. And if we're increasing your metabolism, fixing your hormones, getting things regulated, you're going to burn more calories on a regular basis. I've literally had people who eat healthy, but their hair is falling out. And we fix them, get them to eat more protein. And it's like their hair is healthier. Their skin is, well, I was going to say sparklier, but that's not the word I wanted to use.
Glowing.
Glowing, you know, their nails aren't as brittle because so many people will do a collagen powder because they know it's good for their hair, skin, and nails, but collagen is just a form of protein. And so if we're eating enough protein, we see these people will do protein powders, they'll do meal replacements, they'll do collagen, all these different things, BCAAs, EEAAs, all these things are just derivatives of just protein, right? So it's funny that somebody will say, oh, I should do BCAAs or I should do a collagen powder, when in the grand scheme of instead of doing those things, you could probably just eat more protein, eat more whole food, and be healthier. So well, we're going to move forward, and you're going to see when we talk about healthy and what Tosh and I do as far as our meals, it always comes to the base of protein first. We always prioritize that first. And we always think about meals versus snacks. Again, we can say that you're eating healthy because like an apple, for example, isn't unhealthy, but eating just an apple doesn't bring that protein value that we want. It's going to be primarily carbs. Same thing with an avocado. We would all agree an avocado is healthy, but most people who eat an avocado are overeating the amount that they should be eating, and they're eating too many fats, right? So it's not always about if you're eating healthy or not healthy. It's about getting the right portions of things. Usually the things that we grab or we crave or that are easy and quick to go are carbs, or fats. They're never protein based. I mean, think about it. Whenever you crave food, whenever you're like, oh my God, it's midnight, you're out partying with your friends and stuff, you're never like, man, I really want some grilled chicken, right? You're always like, man, I want a pizza, right? I want some ice cream. I want to go to Taco Bell, right? When you're craving that snack in the middle of the day, it's potato chips, it's the Sour Patch Kids, the Starburst, right? Those are the things you're craving. It's never grilled chicken breast or steak or those kinds of things. So prioritizing protein. I always tell people that even if you don't work with us here at RUF and you just need a tip and a baseline, 100 grams of protein is the minimum. Okay, the minimum, not what your goal would probably be, but it's a good starting place for you if you're willing to track your food, which would relate to at least 20 grams of protein per meal if you're doing 5 meals and snacks a day. Okay, so if you do 20 grams of protein per meal and you do 5 meals a day, that's 100 grams right there. We could always do 6 meals a day. We could do 3 meals and eat more protein per meal. But by the end of the day, we're usually aiming for at least 100 grams, but almost every single one of our clients is eating more than that for sure. But if you start tracking your food, you'll realize that not only you're not getting enough protein, but then it's like, well, how do I make this work? When you have a picky kid, right? We have the most pickiest kid who I've known him since he was 4. He's now 7. He'll be 8 this year. And the other day he comes to us and says, but I don't like rice, Mom. And I'm like, what do you, since when, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of parents have probably seen this before. You're like, how am I supposed to work with this, right? Like, if it's not just mac and cheese, then he's not going to eat it, right?
Or ramen.
I think it's or ramen. Those are the 2 things that
mac and cheese and ramen.
God, getting that kid to eat is something special. And I'm sure you guys run into that problem all the time around dinner time. Eat, our favorite thing is eat what we make or you're going to bed hungry. That's just how it is. Trying to get him to eat is something. So I'm going to let Tasha take this over. I'm going to let her kind of go through when we go on our grocery haul, when we go and buy our food, we want to make the most of it. We don't want to be going to the grocery in the middle of the week. We want to go one time a week, if maybe once every 2 weeks. Like, we want to get everything we need and be good for a while. So I'm gonna let you run through first. What's our priority? What are we buying when we go to the store?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say that your guys' meals don't have to just be boring. Like, I think people get like the misconception, like when you start a diet, you're going to be eating chicken and vegetables, right? And I so firmly believe that that is not the case, or that does not need to be the case. I can't even tell you the amount of times that I blow Roy's mind just by making something so incredibly simple out of something that he would have never thought to use, right?
Can I just preface something?
Yeah.
In college, I would eat chicken breast and my carbs would be Pop-Tarts. And I'd count that as my vegetable. And it's not even a vegetable because it was a strawberry Pop-Tart. So it wasn't even a vegetable.
It hurts.
So since being with Tasha, she has like blown my mind. And it's like she makes stuff. I'm like, this is so good. She's like, it took like zero effort.
So just so you guys know, I really hardly ever make a meal that takes me longer than 30 minutes from start to finish. Like, rarely. It's very rare. And in those instances, it's when I have more time, like on the weekends or a special request from my kids or my husband, right? Like, there's certain instances where I do, but for the most part, most of the meals that I make take me less than 30 minutes. So keep it simple. The biggest thing for me is that when we go to the grocery store, I make sure I have every type of protein you can think of, because I don't want to be stuck eating the same thing every single day. So first things first, if you don't have a Costco membership or a Sam's Club membership, you need to get one. Seriously, lifesaver when it comes to protein options, you guys. Second biggest thing I recommend, if you don't have a pressure cooker or an air fryer, I use it every single day. That is not an exaggeration. So two of my biggest things that I use are my Costco membership and my air fryer. Swear.
Well, in the Costco membership, so those of you guys, I'm sure everybody knows, but we buy things in bulk, right? We're not just going to Walmart and buying 3 chicken breasts. Like, we are buying a crap ton. And we're going to show you some of the stuff that we buy, and we make what we need for today and we put the rest in the freezer. right? So when we're ready for more, it's there. We don't have to go back to the store.
Yeah. So almost everything I buy, I make sure that it's freezable and I can put it in the freezer, because there's nothing worse than buying a whole bunch of produce and then it going bad, or buying packages of chicken and forgetting that it's in there, or you have too much food and so you forget to freeze it and then you have to go through your fridge and you have to throw all that food away. Like, how heartbreaking is that? I think that happens to everyone. It is the worst feeling. So if you don't have a Costco membership, highly, highly recommend it. I go to Costco. Biggest things I get, I go down the freezer section and I get all of my protein. I get chicken, ground beef, ground turkey. I get fish. I get a lot of shrimp, you guys. I usually get 2 packages because surprisingly, my kids love it. And they're so high in protein. Shrimp is so high in protein and so lean. So it has like 0% fat. So if you guys are looking for a really high protein like meal, use shrimp. It's very, very good for you. Okay. Shrimp, salmon, tilapia, like I get it all. I think I have on my list here, chicken, beef, shrimp. I get the easy kind that's already peeled, deveined, and it has the tail off. So I don't have to worry about taking that off, right? I get salmon that I just thaw out and put in the oven or the air fryer. We get tilapia, ground turkey. We get rotisserie chicken. And I'm so sad because the rotisserie chicken that Costco has, they put it in a package for you. It's already pulled. It's pulled off the chicken for you. And all you have to do is cut it up and put it in recipes. You can eat it cold. It's already cooked for you. You don't even have to cook it. It's the best. Chicken sausage, which I have here. This is one of my favorite go-to snacks when I don't feel like cooking. You guys, these right here. Have you guys seen these before? It's literally chicken in sausage form, and it's mixed with, they have different kinds. This one's mozzarella with artichoke and garlic, but they have like black pepper and they have like apple, like they have different flavors for you. So depending on what you like, this is a go-to for me when I'm like wanting something quick. Just in one of these, it has just in one link, you guys, just this guy right here, 16 grams of protein, just this one tiny little thing. Okay. So really just try to make your life simple there. And then I buy things like to add on. We buy rice in bulk. We buy easy packaged, like I can throw in the microwave packages of frozen vegetables. Okay. Things that you can throw in the microwave and just mix in a pot all together. Like really make it simple on yourself, you guys. So that's kind of like our rundown of like what a grocery run looks like for us for the most part. About every other week we go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we'll run to like King Soopers or whatever your grocery store is, Safeway, whatever your guys' grocery store is where you're at. Probably about once a week to get like the filler stuff that we need, things that we run out of, milk, right? Like the basic stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of like our rundown of groceries. Now, when it comes to making the food, we kind of have like a general staple of like what we have every week. But like I said, we kind of mix things up. So for breakfast, and I'll kind of let Roy talk a little bit, but we're going to kind of break down like what we do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you guys get an idea of what our life looks like and how easy we make it. So it's not like you guys are always in the kitchen. Cause I think that's so daunting when you're starting a new plan or training program or whatever. You feel like you're going to be in the kitchen forever. And like, it's just overwhelming, especially if you're not used to being in the kitchen or you don't enjoy cooking, right? Or like me or like us, you have a picky kid. So you feel like you're going to have to make one meal and then have to make another one for your kid, right? So we've kind of figured out like this balance of like how to get the kids to eat what we make and kind of like make it so we're still getting the nutrition we need and to sneak in little stuff for the kids so they actually get the protein that they need and the veggies and all that good stuff. So for breakfast, what's your go-to?
So breakfast for me is always eggs. I eat 5 eggs for breakfast. And that's just so I can hit my protein goals. And again, I have all the stuff dialed in of what I need to eat to hit these goals. But for those of you guys, 5 eggs might be a lot for you. You might need to do less. Or if you're doing that many eggs, you might realize that again, just like we talked about the avocado, you might be overeating in fats because there's a lot of fats when it comes to eggs. So another substitute for that is to do some eggs and some egg whites, or just all egg whites. And that's an easy sub to just increase the protein without increasing the fat. That's a big issue people run into, is that as you start eating more protein, you realize your fats start creeping up and you're eating too much in fats. So finding the balance of those things there. The carb that I put with that is usually toast with some omega-3 butter. So that's an easy swap for you guys. Omega-3s are really good for you. You get it at Walmart. There's just butter. I'll have to grab it for you guys. It's an omega-3 butter. I put it on my toast, or I'll do oatmeal with eggs. But what I love about eggs is, again, the versatility of it. Caden, who's our 10-year-old, always likes her eggs over easy, or she likes boiled eggs. She can do that. Right? I always do my eggs scrambled, almost always, but I can do 2 pieces of toast and make a sandwich out of it. I could put cheese on top, make that fit my macros. A lot of the times I'll put it in a bowl and I'll put salsa on top. You guys, salsa on your eggs is a freaking game changer. Okay. Sometimes I'll put bacon and onions and some peppers in there, or I'll make like a scrambled or an omelet kind of thing. Right. So again, it's just scrambled. It's always just scrambled eggs for me, but I don't like eating the same thing every day. Like, I will get sick of eggs. So it's not always that I change the eggs. I change how I make the eggs and what I put on there. And I make that pre-fit what I'm going to do for the day. Tasha used to do eggs with me, but recently you've changed because you started running. So what do you do for your breakfast?
So I am going to give Alyssa a shout out because she's on here. I used to only eat oatmeal. So when I'm training for like endurance and I'm running a lot and I'm not doing like just weight training or just quick cross training workouts, and I'm actually working out for an hour or more a day, I need something that gives me sustained energy. And oatmeal is the only thing that does that for me. So if you guys haven't figured out what that thing is for you, you need to play around. Whether it's potatoes in the morning, you can make fried potatoes and eggs, right? Like something easy like that. So you have that carb. So oatmeal is that carb for me that just gives me that sustained energy throughout the day and gets me through my workouts. But the protein lacks when you're just eating oatmeal. So Alyssa, I'm like a freaking genius over here. She puts cottage cheese in her oatmeal. And I saw that on Instagram one day. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening with my life? And it has changed everything for me. So I do oatmeal and I do cottage cheese, and I do it the same way. I actually really like putting brown sugar in my oatmeal because it makes it sweeter. And the cottage cheese does not change the taste of the oatmeal. It really doesn't. If anything, I don't have to add any extra water or milk into it. It just makes it a little bit creamier, but it tastes the same and it gives me that protein boost that I need. So that's kind of my go-to right now. I also like my daughter, Kaden. I really like my eggs. I like the yolk to be runny. So I like to do like over easy eggs or poached eggs, but I saw this recipe. If you guys want this one, if you have Instagram, I'll send it to you. Just message me and I'll give it to you. But pesto. So I take the pesto and I put the pesto in the pan and put the egg in the pan and put a lid on it. And I let it cook for like 5 minutes. And then I take the egg out and I put it on top of a piece of toast and put either some ricotta cheese or some cottage cheese on top, because those kinds of cheeses have extra protein. And then I eat it with a fork. Seriously, mind-blowing, you guys. So delicious if you guys want something like that. But I'm the kind of person that likes a lot of flavor in my food. So I can't just have eggs and toast the same way Roy does. Like, I have to have some kind of seasoning on it. So if you guys like really flavorful food, I got some recipes for you.
Well, can I just say too, it just makes such a difference when you start adding like those sauces and stuff.
Yeah.
I was saying salsa on your eggs.
Mm-hmm.
If you put the salsa in the pan while you're scrambling your eggs, like, it changes everything. Like, some days I'm like, okay, today's a day where I want the salsa after I'm done cooking the eggs. And sometimes I cook the salsa in with the eggs, and it just changes everything. I just those small little tweaks and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But as far as oatmeal goes, I'm very different. I don't know if you guys saw my face, but I'm like, I don't do the cottage cheese and that's weird. That's weird to me. Like, I'm not going to do that. But for me, if I just need to eat oatmeal, we actually just came out with cookies and cream protein powder. A lot of people have been taking that, or the chocolate protein powder we have, and putting that in your oatmeal, right? Just adding a protein powder to your oatmeal, again, changes the flavor, changes the game. It's not the same thing. You could change up the flavors and you're getting that protein content in there. Same thing with my coffee in the morning. A lot of people don't track their creamer because they think it's not that big of a deal. And they start tracking their creamer and they start realizing they're drinking way more creamer than they thought, and it's blowing their carbs. An easy substitute that we do is, I mean, I still can make the creamer fit, but if I'm really trying to get my protein up, instead of doing the creamer, I'll do the cookies and cream protein or the chocolate protein, and you can add the protein powder to your coffee, right? Do a half a scoop of that. That's 12 grams of protein in my coffee. And then I might be able to do that and eat less eggs. I could probably just eat 3 eggs instead of 5 if I want to do that easy swap. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think you have one more for breakfast.
Yeah. The other really easy one that I do, guys, is Greek yogurt and granola. It's so simple. And you can even take the Greek yogurt and put it in your oatmeal if you want. Like, you can mix all of these things to make sure that they hit your macros. The biggest thing with yogurts is that they're not all created equal. So please make sure you read the labels. Some of them are loaded with sugar. Some of them have a really high fat content, some of them don't. So make sure when you go to get your Greek yogurt, you guys are actually reading the labels and reading what's in them, because they're not all created equal.
Well,
along with everything else, just make sure when you go to buy stuff at the store, you're reading the labels, because they can label something as high in protein, but it's not necessarily what you want to be eating.
Well, and that's what we talked about, like, what does healthy mean to you? We can always say that, well, is Greek yogurt healthy? And most people be like, yeah, Greek yogurt's really healthy. But then you look at that, we tell you, like, look at the label to see if it's healthy. And most people who are just doing these other diets, right, or just getting told what to eat every single day, you can't look at a label and say, oh, that's going to be good for me. That's going to be healthy for me. And that's what this program does a little different. Once we set your nutrition goals, once you start to get a better understanding, once you start tracking your food, then you can go look at 3 different brands of yogurt and say, this is the one that I need to do. And the one that works for Tasha might be the one that different than the one that works for me. And that's the beauty of this and why it works so well. So yeah, that's breakfast for us.
That's breakfast. Now, I have a whole lot of recipes, and we could probably talk about this for like 3 days if we wanted to talk about all of the food that I make. But I'm going to kind of I'm going to simplify it to like our basics, things that we almost always have, things that I make almost on a weekly basis. One of the things we've been doing recently for lunch, I'm going to kind of breeze through lunch because a lot of what we do for lunch is leftover from dinner. However, there are some exceptions to that rule, because I am a sucker for turkey sandwiches, like Thanksgiving turkey, like you have leftover turkey and then you have a sandwich the next day. Best sandwich ever. So I literally have been going to the store and buying a whole turkey and roasting it for 2.5 hours and cutting it up and having turkey in the fridge and making turkey sandwiches for lunch. Best thing ever. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that yes, I will sometimes have it for breakfast as well. So we don't discriminate on breakfast food. Okay.
And I just think about how easy that is, right? Like, I know that whatever you're making for dinner, sometimes you just stick that in the oven for the 2 hours. You'll make dinner, we'll eat, the kids will go to bed, and then you'll take that out and you just cut it up before we go to bed, and you have an entire freaking jar of just this turkey. And it lasts us almost all week. Yeah. If we wanted it to.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, I get the Jenny O brand. If you guys have seen it, you can literally take the frozen turkey and put it in the oven directly. And you don't have to worry about thawing it out or brining it or taking the guts out, right? All the stuff. You guys don't have to worry about that. It's all just ready for you to put in the oven. So like I said, simplify everything. You guys can make it simple. Okay. They have options for you. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Also, the chicken sausages that I showed you guys earlier, I like to cut those up and just saute them up in a pan to get them warm. And then I throw them on a salad, or I throw in a package of veggies into the microwave, and I just have chicken sausage and vegetables for lunch. So easy. Stephanie, what kind of bread? It really depends. So we get like the honey oat from Costco. But if you are like, I want to be gluten-free, there are so many gluten-free options for you when it comes to breads and pastas and all kinds of things. Oat nut. This is the one we've been getting from Costco, but Roy and I aren't super sensitive to gluten, so we don't really stay away from it that much, but you have different options when it comes to those kinds of things.
So a lot of people will come to me and say, I need to give up bread, or bread's bad, or bread's processed. And so it's not a whole food. So you guys aren't wrong in that. And there are a good range of breads, right? Like a wheat bread will be better than a white bread. We find sprouted breads to be really, really good on the spectrum of things. But like Tasha said, that we don't have this huge sensitivity. Like, we don't notice a difference, right? If it was up to me, I'd go buy bunny bread. I'd buy white bread. And again, we're talking about what's healthy for you. Some people, need to buy gluten-free stuff. Some people can just do this oat nuts. Some people can do the white bread. You know, it just depends on where you're at in your journey, how you respond to foods. Like same thing, like if I were to have some Pop-Tarts after my workout, it probably wouldn't affect me the same that it would Tasha or a lot of you guys. So that's where you got to kind of find, and that's where the tracking the food comes in, and how you feel on these things is going to be super important. So hope that helps, Stephanie.
So yeah, so the bread for us doesn't really matter, but again, not all bread's created equal. It's like one of those things, right? You got to go and you got to look at the labels, and you got to kind of see what's going to fit your macros, and what's going to make you feel best, right? So you're going to have to kind of play around with that until you figure out what works. And then
I'm going to get you to do one more lunch one. So we get the rotisserie chicken from Costco. It comes in this pack. It's already pulled. You just buy it. We cut it up. Can you just tell them real quick how, because you're going to give them the recipe right now, basically. You don't have to give them the ounces and stuff, but what you put into it.
I'm pretty sure I already put it. Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So tell them how you do it.
So that rotisserie chicken that I told you guys about earlier, that comes already, it's already pulled off the chicken, already cooked for you. I just cube it up. Like I just dice it up even more than it already is. I put it in a bowl. I take a half a cup of mayonnaise. You can get, they have all different kinds. If you guys don't like mayonnaise, I get it, but they have all different kinds. So you can use something like a substitute or whatever. Mayonnaise and a half a cup of Frank's Red Hot. And I dice up some celery, and I put some dill weed just because I like that extra little zest to it. And I mix it all up.
And we put it on the
bread.
bread.
We put it on bread.
Yeah. You put it on tacos yesterday.
Or I put it on a tortilla yesterday with, I heated it up and I put it with a little bit of cheese and some lettuce and made like a buffalo chicken wrap. So good and so easy. Literally takes 5 minutes for me to make it. It's the easiest thing. Well, and
it's funny, again, like we're talking about like what's healthy. And I told you that we're going to blow your mind with some of this stuff. If you were to say like mayo, some people would be like, oh, you might have to give that up, you know, to be healthy. Or we put ranch on the tacos. So the other day I was telling somebody what I put on my chicken or my pulled pork. I was like, I put barbecue sauce. They're like, don't tell me you put Sweet Baby Ray's because that's what I eat. I'm like, no, that's what I bought. Like I just put it on there, but I tracked it. I made it fit, right? Obviously, if you find, usually when you find healthier options, you can have more of it or more volume. But again, in this first phase of just learning food, you're able to have the flexibility of eating these things. Now, as you go through the ranks in these different phases, usually what you eat, I mean, like we said, there's better options of things, but in the beginning, it's just a matter of making it fit and learning nutrition and learning how to track.
Yeah. And if you guys ever need help with like substituting something, I am the queen of substituting things too. So if you're like, I don't want mayonnaise, what's a better option for me? You can always shoot me a message and I can give you some suggestions. Dinner. Now, this is the big one for us because we structure everything around our dinners, because I make dinner and then that's lunch and possibly dinner and possibly lunch and possibly dinner for the rest of the week, depending on how we're feeling and how much I've made. So tacos, the amount of people, like, how many memes have you seen? Like, oh, I work out, but I love my tacos. So do we. We love our tacos. We eat tacos all the time. But there's different kinds of tacos, right? Like you guys can have, like tacos in a shell and you can fry them up and you can do them like the unhealthy way, right? Where you guys know where you're cooking everything in oil and it's really fatty, or you can lean things up. So I usually make the meat first and I don't discriminate. We've had tacos in all different forms: shrimp tacos, chicken tacos, beef tacos, turkey tacos, steak tacos, whatever I am deciding to make that week. That's the kind of tacos we're having. So I'm going to show you guys. This is this giant thing of ground turkey. It looks gross. You guys see it? And I'm spilling water all over myself. But it's 4 packages here. Each package is 1.5 pounds. I'm going to make all 4 of those tonight in a pan and put taco seasoning in it. And I kind of decide if I want to make my own taco seasoning or if I just want to use the prepackaged stuff. It's really up to you and depends on how you feel with different things. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But sometimes the sodium in the prepackaged seasonings can make you guys feel swollen or like, I don't feel great afterwards. So it's always a good option to think about making the seasonings yourself, right? But I'm going to make all 4 of those packages of ground turkey with taco seasoning. And then I'm going to be able to make taco salads. I'll be able to have regular tacos. I'll be able to make a taco bowl with chips. We can use that in so many different things, right? So that's what I'm actually making tonight for dinner. And I like to put it in a bowl, and I like to use tortilla chips, but sometimes I swap out the tortilla chips with Quest chips. And Quest protein chips will give you an extra 20 grams of protein just with the chips. So if you put the chips in there and then you add all your toppings, cheese, lettuce, we actually do sour cream, but a good swap for sour cream is plain Greek yogurt. And then we do all our salsas on top. And then you guys can add things if you're low on fats, you can add things like avocados and all kinds of stuff to kind of fit your macros. But the best part is that you guys get to portion it out the way you need to. So if you make a huge portion of protein, so say I wasn't making turkey and I make chicken instead, I get to portion out that chicken how I need to fit my macros for the day.
Well, that's what I love about tacos so much, is how versatile they are. Like, depending on where I'm at the end of the day or what I need to get, like, you're going to make 2 tacos with 3 ounces of meat on them. I'm gonna make 3 tacos with 4 ounces on all of them. And you're gonna do I might not do avocados because I've already hit my fats, and you might do avocados, right? So the flexibility there, as far as when we're talking about the family setting, right? Little Talon, who's like, tonight he's like, he just decided he doesn't like tacos. Well, then we'll just give him just the meat, right? And maybe some rice or something else on the side if he decides he likes rice tonight, right? It's the versatileness of the tacos that is really great. And that's why we just do it so much.
Yeah. So that's kind of a go-to for us, just because you guys can kind of break it up how you want to, and you can use that meat in so many other things. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had, chicken, like taco chicken, and put it with my breakfast and my eggs in the morning and made like a breakfast wrap with my chicken tacos, right? Things like that. Another one of my go-tos, and I am a huge chicken thigh lover. I love chicken thighs because they're fattier and they have more flavor. However, not all of you will be able to fit chicken thighs with the extra fat content into your macros. So a good substitution there is chicken breast. So depending on where we're at, we make sure to always have one or the other in our freezer, so I can decide what do we need more of. I take the package, I put it in my pressure cooker. I take a jar, and I don't have one, but I take a jar of green tomatillo salsa and I pour it over the top. And I put it in the pressure cooker for 25 minutes. And then I shred it up and I put that chicken on salads. I have it over rice. I eat it like just with vegetables. You can put it over the top of like a pasta. There's so many different ways. At that point, you then just have your protein, and then you got to decide, how do you want to pair it for the day, right? So easy, so simple. And then you just get to decide, like, what are you craving? What do you feel like eating tonight? And you just have it right there for you. One of Roy's all-time favorite things. This is one of the things that
blew my mind.
Yeah, this was one of the ones that I made for him. And he was like, seriously? You just made this?
It has vegetables in it.
Yeah. Stir fry. Like,
I'm telling you guys, make stir fry.
So again, it can be made with anything. I usually do it with ground beef or ground turkey. And I just brown the meat, and I take rice and vegetables and cook them and mix them together. And then I take the meat and put it on top of the rice and vegetables. And that's it. With my stir fry sauce.
It literally says stir fry sauce.
It says stir fry sauce on it. Blew Roy's mind.
I was like, the vegetables is so good.
4 ingredients, you guys. 4 ingredients. That's it. And it's so simple. Like, all you have to do is just put it in a pan and cook it. And it makes so much food too. I usually do like 4 cups of rice for 2-3 pounds of meat, and then mix it all together. And at that point, you guys have your protein in one hand, and then you have your carb source on the other, and you can figure out what portions of both do I need, right? And you can you can just do the sauce on the meat, or you can do the sauce in the rice, and you guys can kind of figure out how you want to do that. Sometimes I do mix it all together, but for the most part, I try to keep the protein and the extras separate.
Well, and that's the things that I wanted, like, I loved when we were going to talk about this, is that that's where I think people make the big mistake, is that when they're cooking dinner, they put the carbs and protein together. They put all the ingredients together, and then everybody's stuck eating the same portions. And that's where you run into, like, if you and your wife or you and your husband do this program together, you're going to realize that your goals aren't the same. So if you make a big thing, so the example right here is Shay just said, how do you make spaghetti? And I'm going to get you to talk on that in a second. But I think the mistake would be is that you make the noodles and then you put it in with the meat and you mix it all together. We always keep the noodles separate from the meat. So that way Tasha, she might do 2 ounces of the noodles and I might do 4 ounces of the noodles, and she might do 3 ounces of ground beef and I might do 6, right? Keeping those things separate. Now, it's not always possible to do that depending on what you're making.
Yeah, there are certain recipes, like if you guys are making casseroles and stuff like that, right? You need to mix them together. But those are the more complicated, like longer recipes that I'm not going to go over today. If you guys want some of those, I do have plenty of those as well.
And what I love about it is, like, you guys were laughing about how it blows my mind, but I think that when people get into this game, they think about, well, for it to be fun, it's got to be complicated. But what you find when you join the program is how simple this is. If you just plan it out and you just take you literally just think about it, how simple were these 3 things? Like putting chicken in the pressure cooker isn't hard. Making a bunch of ground meat for tacos, or making the stir fry, like it's the most simplest thing. And there's like 100 different ways to do all 3 of those things. Like, and what's cool is that Tasha she'll make, well, you're making the tacos tonight, right? She'll make the tacos tonight and then she'll do the chicken tomorrow. And then the next day for lunch, I get to choose. Do I want chicken or do I want tacos for lunch? So I'm not stuck. We don't have to eat the same thing.
Yeah.
She made so much of it. And then by the time Thursday comes around, you'll make something else for dinner. She doesn't have to make dinner on Wednesday night sometimes because we have these leftovers.
Yeah.
And by the time Friday comes, I might have 3 options of things.
Yeah.
Right.
The key for me is to always make more than you think you need. Like whatever you're making, just double it at least. So then you have extra. That's the key to meal prepping, you guys. If you're like, I don't have time to meal prep, well, are you making dinner? Because you have time to meal prep.
Yep.
It's really simple. And we don't portion it out as we're doing it. I literally make a bowl and we put it in that same bowl, cover it up and put it in the fridge.
Yep.
Very simple. Oh, we need to talk about the mac and cheese.
Yes.
We did promise everyone that we would talk about the mac and cheese.
I want to prove this to you guys when we talk about healthy. So I just want to know if your guys, for those of you guys who have kids, I just went to go grab a box of the mac and cheese that we bought, and there was no boxes left. But
Roy laughed at me when I bought it at the store the other day.
But they left the package. Why would they do that? Why did the kids do that? I don't understand. Why wouldn't they throw it away? I say the kids because Caden made mac and cheese the other day. She made the last one, but I just want to show you guys, this is legitimately Kraft mac and cheese. Okay. So it's not like a special healthy alternative swap and stuff. And of course, like I said, there's always healthier options and things like that, but the kids love Kraft mac and cheese. And you made shrimp the other day in the air fryer. Was it in the air fryer?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to go back to Shay's talk about spaghetti. My mind is like, I could talk about this all day, but mac and cheese. So our son, Talon, was having one of those days where he was like, I don't want to eat whatever you're making for dinner. Didn't even know what we were making. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a great day. This is so fun. How many people struggle with that? Because kids are great. And so I knew that I needed to make something that he wasn't going to argue with me about if he liked, right? And I was like, oh, mac and cheese. I'm going to make mac and cheese. That actually sounds good. It sounded good to me to have mac and cheese. But I was like, I can't just have mac and cheese because that's not going to give me any nutrition, right? Like it's not going to make me feel good, or like I'm not going to have any protein. So my second thought was, oh, my kids like shrimp a lot. My daughter loves shrimp so much. It's her favorite food. So I was like, I'll just take the shrimp. I'm going to thaw it out. I put the shrimp in a bag. I took almond flour. I shook up the shrimp to coat in like a Ziploc bag. I shook it up to coat the shrimp with the almond flour, and I dumped it in the air fryer. And I cooked it in the air fryer for like 8 minutes. And then I took it out and I made the mac and cheese, and I put the shrimp on top of the mac and cheese.
Well,
and that's what we had for dinner.
Well, and again, to show you guys the difference, right? I had a lot of mac and cheese comparative to what she had.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot.
I had a lot more shrimp comparative to what she had to fit our goals. But she actually took a plate and she put her salad, a little bit of mac and cheese, and shrimp. So again, what she did was different based on her goals versus what the kids did and what I did. Right. She was able to have the salad, still have her grains, have just a little bit of mac and cheese, which was great for her to have those things because she still wanted that to fit her lifestyle. And she still had the great amount of protein there. So that's the flexibility of it all. The other thing, and we told you this, we buy the salmon and the tilapia. This is another thing that blew my mind. Literally, it comes in a box. It sits in the freezer. I don't even know how she makes it, but I'm pretty sure you just take it out. You put it on the pan and you stick it in the oven. And then you just put it on the salad and that's it.
Yep.
And it's so simple. And it's like my favorite thing. We buy cod too, right?
No. We usually,
I don't even know.
I mean, sometimes it kind of depends. Like it depends on what I'm feeling when we're at the store. But usually I buy 2 different kinds of fish, almost always salmon because it's my favorite, but pick the things you like, you guys. Salmon and tilapia. And then I love salad. I might be a weirdo that actually loves salad, but I love salad. And so I will take the fish and either air fry it or put it in the oven and bake it for 15 minutes and then just put it on top of the salad. And that's what we'll have for dinner.
Yep.
It's really simple.
It is really simple, you guys. And that's where I want you to realize that we just gave you 4 different ideas and you could expand on those in so many different ways on how you want to do it. Like you don't have to have the fish with the salad. You can have it with rice. You can have it with pasta. You can have it with anything. And again, it's not in your first phase for this call. And like we always say phase 1, it's not about so much what you're eating. It's about the portions of what you're eating. So just like we gave the example for mac and cheese, it's not the fact that you're eating mac and cheese and if that's healthy or not healthy, it's the fact that you understand that it's going to be heavy in carbs, right? So the amount of it you're probably going to have is a lot less. And we still have to think about the protein and how we're going to incorporate those things. That's the starting place for you and trying to find those things in the right portions, right? So I'm not telling you to get rid of mac and cheese. I'm just telling you to probably eat less of it and let's add protein to it. Yeah. And that's where we got to get creative and fit these things. I don't want to keep you too long. Can we go to this part?
Yeah, we're really done. I just kind of we can talk about snacks real quick. And then that's really it. You guys, if you have any like specific questions, again, I have lots of ideas for swaps and recipes and all kinds of things. So if you guys are stuck and you need an idea,
and you guys, this is what we do. Especially message her if you need recipe ideas. But when you join the RUF program, we want to help you figure these things out so you can figure out what it is, what you need and what your family needs to make this all work for your lifestyle. Snacks. These are things that we always have with us in case of emergencies, or we're just hungry, or we're craving something, or we just need a snack. Quest chips are our favorite. The purple bag is the best.
It depends.
Yeah. So I love the purple bag the most. Quest bars, some kind of protein bar. Again, find the protein bar that is going to sit well in your stomach, right? It's not making you feel bloated or gassy or anything like that. And the macros, they fit right in your goals. Beef jerky. We work at the gym. There's a gas station right next door. We go over there and we just grab a bag of beef jerky, one that we like the flavor of. We make that work. We already said post-RUF in literally anything. So our protein powder, you can put it in your coffee, you can put it in your oatmeal. You can just have it as a meal. You can make a smoothie with it. All those things are quick, easy, helpful. Instead of going for like the Sour Patch Kids or Starburst or chips or things like that. And somebody asked me the other day about what happens when you're craving food. Like, what do you do to stop yourself from eating the cake or something? And I say, well, if you really want the cake, okay, or you're really craving the food, 2 things where I'm like, my first thing is that you're probably not eating enough of the right things. You're probably craving some kind of nutrients. So you're probably not eating enough carbs or drinking enough water or enough vegetables or fruits or something along those lines. But then I told him, I said, well, eat your protein-based meal. Okay. If you're looking at that piece of cake or those donuts, okay, go eat your protein-based meal, make it all fit. And then usually what you're craving is carbs and fats. So for example, right, the shrimp or tilapia or the chicken you make, let me go eat my 6 ounces of chicken. And then if I'm still craving that cake, then I just need to figure out how to track it, or the donut, figure out how to track it and have my portion. That could be my carbs and fats. And again, it's not that you can't have it. You just have to have the discipline, because most of us don't. For example, when you buy Oreos, you can't ever just have one, right? You eat a whole sleeve. So at that point, it's do I have the discipline to say, man, 2 Oreos fits in what I'm doing. Can I just have the 2 Oreos? Right. And usually when you drink the water and eat the protein first, you realize man, I was just bored or I was just hungry in general. It wasn't so much that I was craving this thing over here. So that should help you. Megan said, can you post a recipe of the week? That would be fun. So it's funny you say that, Megan. So we'll have to work on that and do that. But we actually do recipes in our Live Rough program. So we have a program where we do weekly calls, a little bit more in detail of nutrition, a little bit more in detail of workouts. We just did a pull-up progression. We're working on a handstand progression right now. So taking people through how to get to a handstand, how to be better at handstands. We post weekly or monthly recipes on there that Tasha does. We have our physical therapist on these calls and stuff. So that is an option, Megan. Now, we don't want to like keep the recipes a secret or anything either. So we can maybe figure out a recipe of the week.
I'll chat with you, Megan. We'll get something figured out.
We'll get something figured out, but it is something that we do and we offer. If you guys are ever wanting information on the Live Rough program or one-on-one coaching or our app, like the first question people always have is like, what's the price? But we have prices all the way from our app that's $29 a month, super affordable, all the way up to like one-on-one coaching to personal training. Like we can go so many different options. So always a good idea just to message us and see, Roy, Tasha, where do I need to start to get on this journey? Okay. But I hope that makes sense. Hope we got to answer your questions. I hope this gave you perspective on what quote unquote healthy is, where to start, why tracking food is important, and maybe give you some ideas of what to start doing when it comes to meal prep and having more protein in your diet.
Before we leave, I'm just reading Shay's message and I forgot to answer your question about the spaghetti. So I'm going to do that really quick. I actually do make spaghetti quite a bit. My kids also love spaghetti. My family loves spaghetti. It's one of our go-tos. Biggest thing is same thing. Make your noodles separate from your meat sauce. I do the meat and I do like double the amount of meat with the sauce, however you're making it, whether you're making the sauce from scratch or whether you're using a can. I like swear by everything as easy as possible. And I actually do use a can. So if you're a spaghetti lover, I'm sorry. But make the meat sauce separate so then you can portion out how much meat you need on top of your spaghetti, but then you can mix it up however your family loves it, whether your husband or your kids or whatever that looks like for you, however they want that, you can portion it out that way. So I always mix it for my kids and cut it up.
Yep. Well, and just because
I do too with the noodles. A good swap for noodles, you guys, if you've never done it, is spaghetti squash. That'll get you your veggies and you won't have to worry about like all those carbs, like those heavy, starchy carbs. It does have a little bit different texture, so it will take some getting used to, but that's a wonderful option when it comes to spaghetti as well.
When you did spaghetti squash.
I do love
spaghetti. I wonder if we did that and we gave it to Talon, if he would even notice if we didn't tell him.
He does.
I've tried.
Notice? Yeah.
He's a funny one. Deal. All right, you guys. Well, I hope this helped you. And like always, we are always here to help you if you just need recipe ideas, you want to figure out what your nutrition goals is, how to get started, any of that, we're always here to help. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week on next week's TrainRUF Tuesday. Please don't forget when we post a replay to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the podcast, and share the video. All right. Just remember, we don't pray for an easy life.
We're in a rough one.
Y'all keep earning those cookies.